Hello, my book baddies. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, welcome. Hope you like the content. Hope you decide to stick around. If you've seen a video before, welcome back. I'm glad to see you. As usual, I hope that you're having an excellent day, week, weekend. Again, whenever you're getting around to watching this, hope that you have been reading lots of great books and really just finding maybe that next 5-star read. This video is going to be our lovely May wrap up. I will just start off by saying May was a little bit of a rough month in regards to some of the books that I read. I'm gonna be honest, there might be some hate on some books that people really love. With that being said, one thing I love about literature is the fact that I could absolutely love something and you can read it and be like, wow, I think that's absolute garbage. Heidi, I can't believe you love that. And vice versa. You could read something and you're like, that's my next 5-star. And I'll be like, I hated that. And that's okay. That's one thing I love about literature is there's so much and there is something for everyone. So if you love something or hate something that I love or hate, there's no ill will here. It's just, hey, this didn't hit for me. So if you see something that I'm like, wow, I really hated this, but you loved it, I'm glad that you loved it. And I hope that you keep loving it. And please know, reading and literature is very subjective. So just wanted to start that little, start the video with that little caveat, because again, reviews shouldn't make you feel bad about what you like or dislike. You should just find the love in reading. And again, like my personal, like I have a little tiny little baby book club, and we are a very diverse book club where we read a little bit of everything, and we are on some polar opposite sides of the table on books. And I actually love that because you get so many different opinions about something and you get to see different like viewpoints on things. But anyways, off of all of that. So with that being said, we have 17 books we're going to be discussing today. So get yourself a coffee or a tea or whatever your beverage of choice is. Get yourself a little blankie. Get comfy because we got a lot to go through today. So I hope that you are strapped in, ready to go. We're gonna roll right into this. As usual, I got my notes, all of my notes, because I'm a hot mess. If I don't have notes to keep me on track, we're getting nowhere. So what we're gonna do, just like in the previous video, we're gonna start with our DNF books. We're gonna go into our audio books. Then we're going to go into our ebooks / what I read on my Kindle. And then we'll go into the physical books. So just to kind of give you a rundown of how we're going to roll with this. So we're going to start with the DNFs. We're going to start off with the, I didn't love this, and that's okay. So the first book that I wound up deciding to DNF, which DNF is did not finish, for if you are not familiar with that acronym. So anytime you hear DNF in regards to the book community, it's just did not finish for whatever reason. It wasn't floating your boat. So the first one that I decided to DNF is The Book of Azrael by Amber Nicole. I actually started reading this a few months ago, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, and I just really struggled to get into it personally. This is a dual POV, and your predominant POV is Diana. And she is some sort of mythical creature. I don't remember what they're called right off because it's been a couple of months since I even had that book open. I wound up deciding to DNF this. So when I was reading it, I think I got maybe 20-ish, 25% in. And I was like, I'm not really getting into this. I'm kind of struggling to like continue reading. So what I did, I was like, let's just set it to the side. We'll just keep it on the Kindle because again, it's on Kindle Unlimited. And if I feel the need to like feel the desire to go back and pick it up, great. It'll be there, ready to go. And after a couple of months of it just sitting, I was just like, I have had zero interest in picking this up again. So I wound up just being like, I'm going to DNF this. This isn't for me. And I wound up returning it. So I did rate that a 1. When I DNF a book, I rated a 1 just because it wasn't for me. I know a lot of people love the book. It wasn't my vibe. It was too slow to get into. So that was my first DNF. So the second one was actually one of my pulls from my TBR video, and that is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And I got to page 60-ish something before I wound up DNFing this. So this is a gang rivals book, and you're following Juliet and Roma. I think that's how we say their names. And I legitimately felt like I was on page 1 when I was on like page 65. I just was like, what's happening in this book? Is anything happening? I'm kind of confused. I'm not getting into this at all. So after kind of going back and forth, I just decided to DNF this. Oh, she's sliding out of her dust cover. And it just wasn't for me. I heard that the second one, because this is a duology, I heard the second one's a lot better than the first one. But I was like, this is becoming painful for me to try to sit through. So I was like, it's not for me. Again, if you love this, love that you loved it, just didn't spark my interest. So that was the second DNF for this month. The next one was also from my TBR pool, and that was Let Us Descend, and that is by Jasmine Ward. And this is a American slavery reimagining, and it's got like a magical realm element to it. I got maybe 100 pages into this, I think, and I was just honestly really bored. I didn't really feel like a lot was going on, and I was very confused by the magical realm element. I felt like it just didn't fit with the book. I don't know why. I was just like, I don't get this, and maybe if I finished the book, I would have maybe gotten it, but it wasn't doing it for me. The writing style wasn't doing it for me. I was just honestly bored to death reading this. It was just too slow for me. I have ADHD. I need something that can keep the brain active, unfortunately. So slower reads, I don't know if this is a slower read for other people, but if like this was a slower read for me personally, it wasn't keeping my attention enough. So that's why I wound up DNFing this. Again, 1 star, because any DNF is a 1 star. So that was my last DNF for May. So we're gonna go ahead and move now into the audiobooks, which I actually listened to 6 audiobooks in May, which is quite a lot. In my opinion, I typically feel like maybe 4-ish audiobooks is my more normal, but hey, every month's gonna be a little different. Excuse me for 1 second. The iced coffee is just doing it right now. It's really hot. It's like 80 something degrees out, so iced coffee is just really hitting the spot. Okay, so the first audio book that I finished was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That is a memoir, and I know it's pretty popular. I know a lot of people reviewed it. A lot of people have really enjoyed it. That book is amazing, but it's emotionally draining. I listened to it, and Jeanette, she actually was the person that read the book on the audiobook, and I really feel like that really I feel like if you want to read this book, I really recommend listening to the book, because there were moments when I was listening to it and she was getting you could tell she was getting emotional reading it, and it just it hurt. it hurt my feelings, and I just can't imagine some of the things that she experienced. And it's honestly like, it was a really sobering reminder about how much we don't consider famous people as still real human beings, having their real life things happening behind the fame. So, and I think that this is a great book to really put that into perspective and to say, hey, like, actors, actresses, dancers, singers, etc., like people that are, you know, in the crazy fame light have a lot of personal things going on that we have no concept of. This was a 5-star for me. I recommend this to everybody, but there is some, like, I would say emotional abuse triggers that I would caution, and there's also eating disorder triggers that I would caution when going into this. So if you're not in a place to be able to like listen or read those type of topics, just be mindful of that. But absolutely amazing book, so emotional but so good. But again, I would highly recommend listening to it, because again, she's reading it herself, and I really feel like that just adds something extra to the experience, in my opinion. So 5-star, highly recommend. Very, very well written, well done book. Our next audiobook was A Strange Hymn, and this is the second book in the Bargainer trilogy, I believe, and that is by Laura Thalassa. That's probably really botched. I am so sorry. I am terrible with names. Please forgive me in my just shenanigans on mispronunciations. So I listened to the first book in April, I think. I really enjoyed that one. I wound up giving that a 4-star. A Strange Hymn is definitely slower than the first one, in my opinion. I feel like the bulk of the book is a lot of character development and like story plot, but I think that's pretty normal in a trilogy. I feel like the second book in a lot of trilogies is kind of like it's like the transition to like the ending, and you know, like you're going through a lot of, you know, character buildup, you're getting more character, you know, like backgrounds and things like that. So it was definitely a slower book. The ending was very good. I wound up rating this a 3, and I do recommend it. I do plan to listen to the third one in the series, and I believe so this follows Calypso and Desmond. I believe that there's a book that's from Desmond's point of view, and I probably will go back and listen to that as well, depending on how the third one goes. So I did enjoy it. It was a solid 3-star. Again, kind of slow start, but the ending was really good. So another good one. So the next audiobook I listened to was Yellowface. This is by R.F. Kuang, and I had a really, really hard time figuring out my feelings towards this book. So you're following June, who is a white author, and she was friends, quote unquote, with an Asian author named Athena, who winds up dying like very early in the book. And I think all of this is on the back of like the book. I think all of this is in like the synopsis, so I don't think any of this is spoilers. But it's basically June winds up stealing Athena's book and publishing it as her own. And then like it's like the fallout of that. After a long time of really debating and considering and going back and forth on my feelings, I wound up rating this a 2-star. And I don't want to go into a lot of why I rated it 2-star, because then I would be giving you spoilers. If you want my full review, I have that on Goodreads, and I go into a lot more detail about why I give it a 2-star. I just think that there are things that I find issue with how the story was written, and I think how some folks can perceive the story. Again, I would go read my review on that on Goodreads if you want like my full like thoughts on it. But R.F. Kuang did an amazing job creating an insufferable character, because June is insufferable. She is terrible. But there's just things about the book that I'm really struggling with. And then I don't have this confirmed, but I have seen things where people were saying that Athena was like R.F. Kuang's self-insert character. And if that is in fact the case, that's insufferable, because Athena is also insufferable. Like, that entire book was insufferable. Like, it was a struggle for me to even get through. Again, I feel like R.F. Kuang did a great job making insufferable characters, but I feel like she wasn't trying to make Athena insufferable, and she definitely was an insufferable character. So, I digress. That's all I'm going to say on that. It just, the concept of the book was good. The execution, I think, kind of was a flop. Just how I feel. So we'll move on. Again, that was Yellowface. I wound up giving that a 2-star. The next book that I listened to was The Return of Ellie Black, and that's by Emiko Jean, I think. Again, sorry if I botched your name. I'm really terrible. I apologize. My bad. This was a mystery thriller that I found through Book of the Month. And this has multiple POVs, and it's kind of got a cult-ish vibe going to it, which I can dig. I'm not really a mystery thriller person as a whole. I've been trying to get more into mystery and thrillers, but honestly, I kind of felt like I knew where some of the story was going. There was one plot twist at the end, though, where I was like, okay, I did not see that coming. You duped me on that one. So, it was an okay book. It's fine. I wasn't like wowed about it, but I didn't hate it. So it's good. It's fine. It's a solid 3-star. Not anything that I will probably ever pick back up or really probably think about again. I don't know. It's just fine. It's a fine book. The next audiobook that I listened to was All Systems Red, which I've heard lots of amazing reviews about. And this is part of the Murderbot Diaries, and this is by Martha Wells. And this is a sci-fi book where you're following it's Murderbot, who's like a half robot, half human mixture that is like owned by a corporation, and this corporation like basically rents out these the Murderbot, he calls himself Murderbot, but they're robots. I don't remember what they're called in the book. And I enjoyed the story. It was kind of a slow start. I wasn't sure how I'd like it. It's really short though. I think the audiobook is like 3.5 or 4 hours, so it's very, very short. But by the end, I really enjoyed it. I do plan on listening to the next one in the series, and I know there's quite a few books in this series. I think there's at least 5, and I know the newest one in the series just came out in like the last couple of months. So I do plan on listening to the next one. I did like where the story was progressing. I felt like basically the whole concept is the Murderbot has feelings. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't want to spoil anything, but I enjoyed it. You get like a POV is the murder bot, and I liked it. I'll read the next one. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. The last of the audiobooks that I wound up listening to in May was P.S. I Still Love You, and that is the second book in To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and that's by Jenny Han. I listened to the first one, I think, back in April, so I wanted to listen to the next one because I actually really liked the first one. I rated that a 4-star, and I do not think that I'm really the intended audience for that book, so I was really surprised that I rated it a 4 because I really did enjoy it. In this one, we're still following Laura Jean, and this one was okay. Honestly, I feel like this could have been a single book. I don't really know why. It's a series. I think it's a trilogy. I'll probably listen to the third one. I wound up rating this a 3-star. So I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one, but it wasn't bad. I just was kind of like, it's fine. So I just felt like it was almost like, what, do we need a trilogy? But again, I'm gonna listen to the last one, finish up the series. I liked the second one well enough to finish off the series, but the first one, in my opinion, was definitely a lot better to me. I enjoyed the listening experience a lot more. So again, that's P.S. I Still Love You, and that again was a 3-star. So we're going to go into our ebooks / the books that I read on my Kindle. So the first one was my one of my TBR picks, and that is Trial of the Sun Queen, and this is by Nisha J. Tooley. Again, sorry if I botched that. So the concept, so this is a dual POV, and I think this is I think this was marketed as an enemies to lovers. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was marketed as an enemies to lovers. And it is not. It is not. If it was marketed as that, that is a lie. So if you're reading this because it's an enemies to lovers, it is not. And you're following Lore and another character that's a man. I could not tell you his name to save my life because he was so underwhelming as a character. Can you tell that I didn't love this book? So the whole concept is Laura is basically kidnapped essentially and has to go through these trials, and she has the potential ability to become the Sun Queen through these trials. And it feels like ChatGPT could have written this book. I'm gonna just say it. I feel like this was like a Hunger Games ripoff and I haven't read the book, but I've heard this book called Selection. I think that's what it's called. I just feel like this was like a ripoff of many popular YA books, and we're just gonna mesh a bunch of the ideas together, smush it, and hope that something good comes out, and nothing good came out. I rated this a 2-star. I did finish it. At first, I really liked it. I really, if you saw my vlog, I was raving about this because I was like, oh, I like Lore. I really like her character. I like that she's strong, she's pig-headed, she's stubborn, she, tells people how it is. And it just got progressively worse. And it didn't work for me. This is a series. I'm not going to continue this series. I found this to be incredibly disappointing considering how popular this is. But it didn't do it for me. I just felt I feel like AI could have written this by just picking out big concepts from other books and smushing it together. So it was a 2-star for me. Don't recommend. It's not that good. You're not missing anything. So it just, meh. So that was Trial of the Sun Queen. So the next book. I know that a lot of you are going to hate my opinion. And that is okay, because one of my friends rated this book a 5-star, and I did not. I destroyed this book. We have a group chat for our books, and I just sat there and it was destroy. And that's Butcher and Blackbird. And that's by Bryn Weaver. This is following Salome and Rowan, and basically they are serial killers killing serial killers, and they get into this competition. This is a dark romance book, so it is a dark romance. It is graphic. It is not for anybody under the age of 18, and it is not for people that don't like dark romance. Read the trigger warnings, because that list is wild. One of the reasons I actually read the book, because I thought the trigger warnings sounded kind of hilarious. But the concept sounded so good. But honestly, I was reading this and I was like, did somebody edit this book? Like, was there an editor that read this book and said, that's not a good sentence structure? That wasn't a good way to phrase that. And maybe made some edits. So I hated this book. I think the execution of this book was terrible. I do really question if an editor actually read and edited the book. I am honestly blown away that so many people love this book. Again, one of my friends, she rated this a 5. She was raving about this book and loved it. So please know that I understand that a lot of people love this book, and this is not hate against you. For me personally, I just read it and I was like, I am very lost at the love of this book. And I'm so sorry, because I know so many of you love it, but I rated this a 1.5. The only reason I gave it the 0.5 and not just a straight 1 is that it had decent smut. I was like, okay, this is decent smut. Honestly, like, Salome and Rowan's relationship is weird. It feels forced, and some people are like, oh, they're obsessed with each other, and this is cute, and I don't know if people are saying cute. I wouldn't say cute. That was not the right word, but people are, like, obsessed with their relationship, and I didn't get it. I missed it somewhere along the way. I was like, did I miss it? Like, was it back there somewhere in the book? So I am not a fan. And again, please, if you love this book, I'm glad you love the book. I hope that you've read the second book. I know that just came out and people are raving about that. This was not for me. I did not like it. I will not be reading any more of this series. I don't even know if I will read any more of her books after reading that book. Maybe I'll give her another shot. I don't know. I'm not going to say never, but it did not work for me. So, sorry, Butcher and Blackbird gets a solid 1.5. I stand behind it. Okay, so our my next ebook that I'm going to talk about is actually an ARC read, and this is Prelude of Fire, and this is by Christine E. Schultz. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. I'm like, I think that's right. And so again, this was an ARC read. So an ARC read is an advanced reader's copy for anybody that isn't aware of that. So I actually got a copy of the ebook, and this has not hit the market yet. This is actually tentatively scheduled to hit the market on October 25th of 2024. So if you like the sound of this, just as an FYI, that is when it is slated to hit the market. So I think that this is a good book. It's a YA. I really liked the strong female characters in the book. I really enjoyed the found family elements in the book. I really enjoyed the relationships between all of the characters. I will say I think that the book is too long. It's over 600 pages, but caveat to that. So I've been speaking with Christine, she's so lovely, by the way. Very, very sweet. And I told her, I was like, hey, this is my review. I put it up on Goodreads and everything. So you can see my review on Goodreads if you'd like. And she actually, because I asked her permission to see, like, if she was okay if I talked about her book in my YouTube. And she said that she's actually making some edits. She saw the reviews and she's trying to actually make some tweaks and changes before the book actually hits the market. So just as a FYI, the book that I read is not going to be what's actually going to hit the market itself. And I actually plan on, when it does hit the market, I'm planning on actually purchasing the book to see what, the before and the after basically is on what I got to read and then what wound up actually hitting the market. And I have a link that I'm going to be putting below with a link to her website with any updates and stuff on the book. Again, if you're interested, very sweet. I think that this is going to be winding up to be a great book. I think that this is going to be a series. So just if you're interested in a good fantasy YA book, this is maybe for you. And hopefully when it comes out, it'll get lots of people purchasing it, and maybe it'll be a little shorter. So again, that was Prelude of Fire. And again, that was an ARC read, fantasy, YA, found family, all good stuff. So the next ebook that I had was Carrie Soto is Back. And this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think her writing is fantastic. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I recommend to every single person that I talk to about books. This is following Carrie, and she's a tennis player that wound up retiring, and she's, trying to get back to win a championship. This is a non-linear timeline. And so you're getting her past on how she became a tennis player, and then you're getting the present day of her trying to get back into tennis, trying to train to win a championship. I wound up rating this a 3.5 stars. I'm not a sports person, so I feel like me rating a sports book a 3.5 stars is actually really high, because I just am not that into it. But I really did like the writing. I love Carrie. She is mean and she is unapologetic, and I love that. So, yeah, I really enjoyed her character. I think that if it wasn't around tennis, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but I did enjoy it a lot for a sports book. I was interested enough to keep reading it, because again, you're getting a lot of information about tennis and about the game, and there's different fields that you get different types of playing on. Again, I learned so much about it. Had no idea. So Carrie Soto is Back. That was a 3.5 star. Recommend. Again, I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have a couple more of her books, and I can't wait to dig into those. My last of the ebooks that I read was The Last Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I think that's how you say it. And this is a non-linear timeline, and you have Caroline, who's in the present day that you're following, and then there's Nella and Eliza, and they are in the past. And it's basically creating Caroline is finding information about the past and putting things together, and then Nella and Eliza. Nella is, I think that's how you pronounce that. Please, if that's wrong, I'm sorry. She is actually a serial killer. That's the best way to put it. Well, kind of a serial killer. And she basically gives poisons to women to poison their abusive husbands. That's what it is. And so this is just going through their story. I really like the concept of this book. The execution was not great. I wound up giving this a 2 star. I was actually kind of disappointed in this book, because I know that a lot of people really like it. And there was so many things that were so interesting, and it just didn't it didn't hit like it could have. I feel like they were trying to create parallels between the past and the present, and it just wasn't done well, in my opinion. So that's The Last Apothecary. Again, I rated that a 2-star. It didn't do enough for me personally. Okay, well, let me get a drinky drink. Lots of talking makes your throat dry. Not that coffee's really helping that, but whatever. Okay, so we are on to our physical books. And these were all 3 on my TBR pool from my TBR video. The first one is One to Watch, and that is by Kate Stayman London. Stayman London? Yeah. And this is following B, and she is a plus-size fashion blogger, and she is in love with this reality TV show, and she actually winds up getting the opportunity to be on a reality TV show, and it's basically a reality TV show where the woman has all of these men. It's almost like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, where like she's basically trying to find love, and at the end she's supposed to get like proposed to by one of the men. And it's great representation of like a plus size person and like the struggles of being like a plus size person in a very public way, because like some of the men are awful to her, just heinous behavior. Some of like, because like they have like, she writes in like news clippings and like articles and stuff, like, oh well, like, like these are like the news clippings from like people's review on the show. And some of the stuff that's said is actually said in real life. Like this is stuff that I know I've personally seen in my real life where I'm like, that's a really heinous comment, or that's a really heinous thing to say about a plus size person. So this is really good representation of like a plus size person in a public, view. I will say, I think that the book was too long. One thing you're going to learn about me is if you keep watching these videos, I will be the first person to say, I think that book was too long, and I think that we could have cut that shorter. And I feel like this was just a little too long, in my opinion. I feel like some of the book could have been cut out. So by the end, I was kind of like, can we wrap this up, please? And I wound up rating this a 3-star. And again, it was good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll ever read it again, but it was fine. It was a good experience. But if you're looking for some plus size representation in a contemporary romance, this is a good choice. So enjoyed it. So our next one was one of my book of the month picks from 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And that is Listen for the Lie. And that is by Amy Tintera. And this is, we are following Lucy, right? Lucy? Yes. And she is trying to figure out, so like her best friend is murdered. And she's trying to figure out, she's like blamed for her best friend's murder. But there's no like real evidence that she did it. So this is like years after her best friend's murder, and she is trying to figure out, did I murder my friend? Because she can't remember. She's like, I can't remember. Did I murder my friend? Did I not murder my friend? And there's a podcast that is run by a guy named Ben, and he tries to go and solve unsolved murders. So the podcast comes, and like Lucy and Ben kind of almost start teaming up, and it's, trying to figure out what's happened and like who is murdered, the friend. I rated this a 3-star personally. I'm not a big thriller person in general, and again, this was fine. I wasn't excited about it. Like, it was fine. Like, I was like, it's enjoyable enough to finish. It's a quick read, because I think thrillers in general are quick reads. but it was just fine. It was 3, just solid. So yeah, if you're looking for a thriller, this might be more up your alley. Just thrillers aren't for me, but if you like podcast, true crime kind of things, this might be for you. So again, listen for the why. We are on our last but not least book, and that is Queerly Beloved by Susie Dunmond, and this is following Amy and Charlie. Amy is a semi-closeted queer person, and she winds up meeting Charlie, who just moved into town. They're in Oklahoma, so not necessarily the most queer-friendly place in the world. And so Amy's like semi-closeted, Charlie is completely out. And this is them getting to know one another and seeing their relationship unfold. This talks about some, pretty serious conversations, because this is set before gay marriage was legalized. And so, like there's discussions around, gay marriage not being legal, and, just like those kind of really hard, tough conversations and topics. And I just didn't enjoy this as much as I was hoping I would. I feel like the really tough conversations and serious topics could have been explored much more in depth, in my opinion. So I didn't like kind of how they were kind of talked about, but kind of still like skirted around, in my opinion. And I thought Amy was kind of annoying. She hides a lot of things, and she's not like upfront and honest about things. She like tries to hide things, and because she's semi-closeted, and she doesn't tell people this and she doesn't tell people that, and like she can't say no. And I just find her kind of annoying. I'm like, girl, just say what you gotta say. And I get it, like you're in a not queer friendly place, but like there are certain things she was lying about that was just stupid, where I was just like, girl, why are you lying about this? So I don't know. It was okay. I rated this a 2.5, so it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping. So it was just kind of just me. So that is the last book for my May wrap up. So we had a lot. There was a lot of reading this past month. So I'm sorry if my opinions hurt your feelings, because I know that I did not love some really popular books. Again, no hate. If you love them, I'm glad you love them. They just weren't it for me. It is already June when I'm filming this, so I've already read a couple of books in June. I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th book for June at this point. So I've read some stuff that I've really enjoyed. Can't wait to continue reading and getting some more reads under the belt, hoping for a 5-star. Haven't had a lot of luck with some 5 stars here recently. Only had 1 this month. But yeah, that was the May reading. If you loved these books, didn't love these books, have opinions about these books, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on them. Say, hey, like, did you think about this perspective or that perspective, please? And I hope to see you in the next video. Again, I hope you're having a wonderful reading month, and I hope everything is going well for you. Happy Pride if you celebrate Pride, because it is June in the US. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for joining me. Bye.